Hello, this is Julian Russell. I want to talk about what having a transformed life is like, what that looks like. And of course, it's not actually a life that's transformed. It's a life where the person is able to transform their experience day by day, moment by moment. The person has got the tools that they need to continually transform their experience. And I know lots of people like this. So what are the key components? I'll do a summary first and then I'll go into more detail later on. The first key component is that they really have a clear vision of where they're going in their life. They've got a vision of the future that is, it's exciting, it's optimistic, it makes them feel great about themselves, it makes them get up in the morning. They also have a life purpose, a sense of the gift that they want to give to the world. A life calling, and they've got a high level of self-awareness in terms of both the, for example, the memories that build confidence and high self-esteem, but also in terms of the difficulties that they've had in the past and how that affects their life. They've got good emotional management, good emotional regulation, and we'll talk about how they get to that. Because there's a journey for getting to that. One of the key things about someone who is transforming their life is that they've got a pretty good sense of their own personal history, both the good things and the woundedness in their life, and any habits or behaviours or tendencies that come from historical difficulties in their life. So they will have healed emotional wounds. They'll have the self-love, the self-coaching, the self-confidence that comes from having healed emotional wounds. They'll be aware of when old memories get triggered in the present moment, so they'll be less likely to impose their projections onto the current situation in their life. And they'll be much better at coaching themselves, being compassionate with themselves, staying with their feelings, and the fastest way to change a difficult feeling is to allow it to be there, to bring love and tenderness to it. So they know how to do that. They'll have better resilience. They'll bounce back from difficulty much more easily because they're able to process their experience more fully in the present moment. So that's the second area. The third area is their ability to take action. They take risks, they take action, they try things out. They know they have the confidence to enact the saying that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So they're proactive in their life. They make stuff happen in their life, and they experiment. They try things out on the journey of getting to where it is that they want to go. The final key component is that they celebrate life. They celebrate the mystery of life. There's difficulty in life, there's good things in life, there are dreams to pursue, but let's also enjoy the music while the music's playing. Let's enjoy this experience of life. We get this when we're in nature, or we're looking at the sky, or we're looking into the eyes of babies, or into the eyes of a loved one. There are lots of opportunities to have that sense of awe, that sense of mystery about the beauty of life, and yet we're so busy in our day-to-day life that we often skip over those experiences. So a person who has a transformed life, or who is in the process of transforming their life, one of their resources is their ability to connect with the mystery, to celebrate existence, to celebrate life itself. So they've got a vision of the future, they've got a life calling, they have transformed old wounds that there are obstacles to happiness and success, or they're in the process of transforming it. They're bringing tenderness to themselves. They tend not to make other people responsible for their feelings, but they take responsibility for their own feelings. They try things out, they're taking action, they're shaping the world to fit themselves, and they celebrate the mystery of life. All of that sounds really good, doesn't it? And actually a lot of people, particularly people who've been through psychotherapy, some sort of combination of psychotherapy and spiritual practice, will have this. And it's one of the ways that I select my friends in life. My friends are people who, they know where they're going, and they are responsible, they take responsibility for their own experience, their own feelings, and they're pretty good at bringing loving attention, healing to their own experience, to the feelings that they have in the moment. The saying from the great poet David Whyte, to be hospitable even to the stranger in you, to love all the corners of ourselves, to know all the corners of ourselves, and to bring loving regard, positive attention to all the corners of ourselves. And that doesn't mean that if we have angry behavior or difficult patterns or habits that we don't try to change them. But the way that we go about trying to change them is not through trying to force ourselves or beating ourselves up, but by bringing loving attention to those places in ourselves. So a person who's transforming their life wakes up in the morning with a sense of their purpose, of what they're creating in the future. They have optimism about the future. There's a great pattern that we all need to adopt, which is from when we're disappointed, when we fail, when we get things wrong, to go from disappointment to hope, to really install in ourselves that whole sense of, oh, I'm disappointed about that, but now I'm going to hope. That whole saying about, if you fall over the gutter, how quickly do you look at the stars? Well, maybe when you fall over in the gutter, how quickly do you remember your life calling, and you remember where it is that you're going in your life. And then more about the healing of obstacles. Let's talk a little bit more about that. We've all had difficult experiences in life. Have we come to terms with those experiences? Have any generalizations, any negative beliefs that we have from those historical experiences, are they really appropriate? Were those beliefs perhaps appropriate to that particular experience rather than to the whole of your life? I was working with a woman recently who, she was sent on she had to travel, and she was, at the age of 16, she was put on a plane which didn't quite take her to the city that she wanted to go to. She got to the city, she went to the train station to try and get the next bit of the journey. It was late, all the trains had stopped. She ended up being helped, in inverted commas, and taken home by a man who harassed her and potentially wanted to rape her. And we did some healing work on that experience, and it's made some big changes in her life. She's even though she's a professional woman, she had been unwilling to go to new places, to try new things, to go to places that she didn't know. That one experience of really not being properly looked after by her mother and having a bad experience travelling, which fortunately actually it was more frightening than it was physically harmful or abusive, but she was traumatized by it. That trauma has stopped her doing all sorts of things in her life that she would love to do. So we need to heal our emotional wounds, and we need to recognize when we've got some old wound that gets in the way of living our life fully, of living all that we can be. And if we have that awareness of, oh, I know what my triggers are, then when those triggers get pressed, we know what to do about it. An example for me is that my mother was bullied by her brother when she was growing up a little bit, and her father bullied his wife, their mother, and she overreacted to that, so that any time I was a little bit too aggressive or pushy, or with my sisters, tending in that direction, anytime I wanted to get my way with my sisters, my mother backed my sisters up, and even when I was in the right and they were in the wrong. And sometimes in business I found that if I've not got something quite right, and then 3 women are talking about it, the HR person and a couple of other women, if there's 3 women talking about me in a negative way, inside me I escalate that into a sort of catastrophic type of experience. And so when that button gets pressed in me, then I think, oh, hang on for a second, it's probably not quite as bad as I think, because that's my childhood stuff being triggered. And then I say, which of the three women is the most friendly of the three women? And then I go and talk to her, and usually if there's some upset or I didn't get something quite right, it was probably quite minor, rather than a sort of catastrophic reliving of things from my childhood. So that self-knowledge, the self-awareness, is so important. The first three principles of emotional intelligence are, the first is self-awareness, the second is self-management or emotional regulation, being able to manage one's feelings, and the third is about motivation, which is life calling and vision. So then the third key area is taking action, just making stuff happen, having the confidence, having the curiosity to go and experiment, to try things out, to express your vision, your life calling into the world. I always say that life eats us, but we've got to act as if we were eating life. Bernard Shaw said, reasonable men and women fit themselves to the world. Unreasonable men and women fit the world to themselves. Therefore, all progress depends on unreasonable men and women. And so there's that feeling of, actually, how am I going to shape the world? And having the confidence, the resilience, the vision to do that. And there are all sorts of tools in that area, the tools of the entrepreneur, such as Smart Steps. Smart Steps are the ability to create very small projects that test your idea, and then you modify that the project at the end of it. You keep doing small projects to develop your idea, rather than having one plan that you think about for a very long period of time. So the fourth category is celebrating life. Isn't life amazing? There's the ecstasy of life and there's the agony of living. And often we make ourselves small because of the difficulty of living. And yet we also need to pay attention to the ecstasy of living. Of romance, of doing joyous activities like dancing or going to the sea or spending time with close friends, looking into the eyes of babies, going out in nature. But the better you get at what's now called mindfulness, presence, the better you get at noticing what's going on in this very moment, the more everyday experiences become nourishing. Walking down the street is an amazing thing. You have a human body. Your body, for the most part, for most of us, works quite well. Every breath can be an amazing moment, so that the person who is transforming their life has a really good sense of all the beautiful moments that they're grateful for, and then that provides a context in which we face difficulty or the ups and downs of life. And one of the things they do in positive psychology is they have people write down all the things that they were grateful about yesterday. And that's a really good training for remembering that, something difficult may have happened yesterday, but you had a delicious pizza and you stroked the cat, and you did whatever it was that you were doing yesterday. So this idea of a person who has transformed their life, or who is transforming their life, you can see that there are some key competencies here. There are some key skills that are worth developing. The first is to have a strong vision and to have a life calling, and then to have the emotional ability, the emotional competency to heal old wounds, to change negative beliefs and replace them with positive beliefs, to be able to manage yourself and to know what's going on in yourself, and to bring loving attention to your feelings, to your inner life. The person who can be the very best friend, the best parent, the best mentor for you is yourself. And that's a key quality in somebody who's transforming their life. Someone who's transforming their life tries things out, takes action in the world, makes stuff happen, is proactive. The first principle of highly effective people, Stephen Covey's 7 principles of highly effective people. The first principle is be proactive, make stuff happen. And then the final thing is enjoy the journey. We have this journey, we're fulfilling our potential in life, but let's actually look at the scenery on the route. Let's actually, if life is a journey, it's also a beautiful piece of music. When you listen to a beautiful piece of music, you're not trying to get to the last bar. You want to listen to each note on the way to the end of the last bar. I hope you found this talk interesting. I'd like to do more on this topic. Let me know if there are topics that you'd like me to talk about. I'm running the 2018 Life Talent Programme from the 16th of March, and the purpose of the Life Talent Programme is to help people become someone who is transforming their life, who is a person who is able and has the skills and competencies to transform their life. If you want a phone call with me, get in touch. If you want to email me or message me, I'm happy to answer your questions. Great to talk to you today.